Hi-Res Expo, not just about the esports cosplay contests happening there as well. All kinds of fun stuff happening. Make sure you make your way to DreamHack Atlanta, highresexpo.com to pick up those tickets. And if you are thinking about cosplaying, maybe you can look to Melissa Taco Posada as your inspiration in her Uller cosplay here today. That was big brain by you.
What can I say, Finch? I call things ahead of time all the time.
That's exactly right. Picks and bans, Taco's calling it here with the promos, calling it as well. Just great work by you all around. We were talking about why Uller line stuck in her head so much. It's because you're spamming the stances.
You're constantly spamming the stances. Yeah, you have to.
He gives you a line every time.
It's kind of just a fact that if you're picking Uller, you have to spam from the get-go as many times as possible the stance swaps.
I'll do you a favor and make this quick with the standings. Let's pull them up right away. Big Money Esports up at the top alongside Ebog and Nemesis, surprisingly, at 3 and 2. That's a team we'll be taking a look at a little bit later today. The reason why the disparity looks so much, Big Money and Cavalry have already played. Cavalry dropped. So one of these teams between Ebog and Nemesis will close that gap to 4 and 2. Nemesis, remember, were far and away the best team in Phase 1. I don't think they lost even a set that entire phase. Now here struggling already with 2 set losses.
It's not uncommon to see the level of competition kind of step it up as the weeks go by here, Finch. Teams have a little bit more time to internalize and kind of figure out where they went wrong and where they can improve for future matches. And I think that's just the case here for Nemesis. Everybody else is simply caught up, and in the case of Big Money, even surpassed.
Exactly right. And remember, when Nemesis came in, it was kind of like jumping into an ice bath for everyone else. I mean, this Nemesis team is comprised of console vets in a pretty big way, largely led there by Jumpah, who was a world champion in his own right. But now the rest of PS4 has had a chance through immersion therapy, it feels like, to catch up with these top teams. Now Big Money all the way up there at the very top of the list. But Ebog, also a plenty strong challenge in their own right here for Nemesis. They'll be in the first pick spot, and banning Thor away from Jumpah, something that you do even when Thor wasn't just buffed.
Can't go wrong with that, that's for sure, Finch. And Nemesis going to take away the Zhang Kui. Just too much flexibility provided through this pick. Yep. Nemesis don't want to have to worry, especially since they're not in that first pick position. I think Jormungandr would definitely be a priority selection. Kronos has a really strong response, though, but that leads me to believe that Eboys don't really want this one to go late.
Yes, that is what they're signaling there. Also, just probably trying to get rid of some meta stuff here. You also probably won't be seeing Isis here in this game unless it's Nemesis who choose to pass it. Of course, if you're Ebog, I don't think there's any incentive to take it away yourself. You would certainly like to have Isis.
This is perfect for Ebog because now they have their choice of the litter, whether it's going to be Erlong, Isis, Set. But keep in mind, with Nemesis also refusing to ban away any of those three and taking that Morgan instead, they're going to be able to pick 2 out of those 3 potentially. It really just all depends on what the preferences is.
So Ebog, of course, going to take Isis with that first spot since she's available. Nemesis, I imagine, taking some combination of Set and something else. Set considered as highly valued, I think, as Isis nowadays in this current look. Looks like Odin going to be coming through, though. And for Nemesis, this can go a number of places. Solo, this can go jungle. I could even see it going support.
For sure, but the one thing I want to keep in mind is whether or not Nemesis are going to draft appropriate follow-up for this Odin pick, because we've seen it happen plenty of times in the past, Finch, where teams, they'll look for this Odin, but they don't get the greatest follow-up to stay consistent with the punishment inside of that cage. And Geb, while he's not necessarily somebody that screams Odin follow-up, he does have great setup in his own right through that Cataclysm, and the peel that he can provide is going to be instrumental, I think, for really allowing this Odin to kind of just surge forward.
Well, a back-breaking front line's been established, but as Taco's alluding to, Nemesis now has some work to do in terms of establishing some follow-up in that. They'll have some options here in a moment. As for Ebog, they've already gotten themselves a Khepri and an Olorun. Isis, Khepri, Olorun, that's almost blind pick value that they've gotten at this point, man. That's how strong these first 3 picks are for Ebog.
Look, I'm not going to say it's over just yet, Finch, but those are some really strong selection choices for Ebog. And the main thing that I'm looking at here is just the constant reinitiation application here from Ebog with their current top 3, because with Isis, Olorun, you don't need to just rely solely on the Sanctified Field or that Circle of Protections to be relevant. I think that the burst damage alone should be consistent enough to kill the Odin if he goes a little bit too far over bounds, even through that Geb shield. We have seen the Olorun. It doesn't feel like it, especially when you're playing playing against, and it doesn't look like he's doing much of anything.
Agreed.
But I can assure you that those autos are chunking.
I've never mentally thought I was losing a boxing trade with an Olorun before, but
Until
I
you're
am.
dead.
Yeah, but I was. That's in my head. I'm like, I'm chunking this Olorun, dude. This is sick. And then you lose the fight. So I big agree with you on that one. And on the other side, though, I do want to point out that even though I don't think Nemesis have gotten a ton of meta picks here right now, I think they've actually got a pretty good draft. Jing always a really strong hunter, safe, and builds crit spectacularly well with Fail Not. They took the Geb away, who's a good guardian to take into the Jing because of the anti-crit passive. Now they're adding a Vulcan as follow-up. I think that Ebog have a better meta draft, but Nemesis have a great draft to themselves.
Whew, that Fenrir, though. I mean, on the one hand, you have to worry about the Geb cleanses from that shield kind of shutting down that Ragnarok, but on the other, Brutalize is going to be a nightmare for this Jingwei, and the Vulcan being able to follow through and avoid the knockups out of that meatball should make things a little bit easier here for Ebog as far as the dive is concerned. And Jormungandr only leads me to believe that paired alongside of this Khepri, that's exactly what Ebog are trying to do, is just dive non-stop into Nemesis carries.
It'll be difficult for them to stop it. I like that Fenrir can make his way out of the Odin cage, though. A good pickup alongside the Jormungandr with his ultimate. A great way to round out the draft from Ebog. Kali, hyper carry potential there for Jumpah on Nemesis. We'll see which one wins out as we get into the game.
Yo, yo, yo. It's me, Tom Battinger, next to Anatoly Alexeyev. And, of course, in the bag is going to be Doug LeBlanc bringing us the action. We got Eboys Gone Wild versus Nemesis. Should be an exciting one here. Jumpah and the squad trying to go up against Ebog W. Should be interesting. Watching these guys go head-to-head. Right away, I mentioned Jumpah's name because that's where I'm looking. I'm looking in the jungle, totally. Original Spartan versus Jumpah.
This is the MVP for Season 4. Worlds winning that one with Myth Gaming on this side. This team, Nemesis, in phase number 1 was basically the team to beat. But phase number 2, not so hot. Already at 3-2 currently, and in this match in particular, in week 3, it's actually Eboys Gone Wild that got the better end of that trade at a 2-0.
I think this blue team is a nice example of a squad that can really come out here and surprise players. As Cozy gets a little too cozy, but we will see Nickwood miss the jump. Here comes Spartan over the top. And there's Brutalize to follow, but the damage too much from Nickwood, and he will make up for his previous transgressions. He dropped First Blood and picks it up of the doggo First Blood to Nemesis.
It's a shame where Cozy survives and then only to see his jungler give a First Blood instead. And because Original went in by himself, he got all the minion aggro. So it wasn't just a 1v2. It was essentially plus 6 minions, so essentially a 1v8.
We see this in ranked a lot. Your soul and everyone, let's go. Don't ever come to my lane again.
Yeah,
that's a
seriously.
bad turnaround. Break that down for why that's so bad for Cozy.
Because not only does that hurt the jungler versus jungle matchup, now there's more farm and experience going to Nickwood in that 1v1 category. There's going to be some Totem of Coups potentially as a result. But in the 1v1 matchup of Jormungandr versus Odin, you should stabilize, despite because the kill is too early for Nickwood to get anything by himself. Now, if Jumpah stayed around, helped him get a totem, helped him strip away the blue buff, now it's looking really bad for Cozy, but only giving a First Blood could have been worse for the soul laner.
Jumpah not going that direction, largely because he's the Kali, I think. When you're playing the Kali, we talked earlier, Toli and I were on one of the earlier broadcasts, talking about Hun Bats kind of being the Gyarados Magikarp type situation where you don't do anything till you get your Fear No Evil. You're not looking for number 5, and actually, believe it or not, Kali has a relatively good level 1 because of the power that she gets and whatnot from Incense. But as the game goes on, Toli, you're just not as powerful as some of the other choices until late game when you're more powerful than the other 9 people on the field.
Yes.
So for right now, seeing Jumpah go, all right, screw that, I'm going to farm, that's kind of standard. That's what you expect out of a Kali player because they're looking for the late game.
And because of that potential of the late game, Jumpah, not interested in making plays early, goes for the beads at level 1, anticipating pressure onto himself. He would much rather farm and look for the counter gank. And if he gets jumped on by Spartan's Fenrir, he'll have that CC immunity to turn that teamfight around, utilizing that ultimate.
Even if he's a different character, I think Beats is the way to go. But seeing Khali's forego the level 1 blink is not too surprising. Like you said, Tully, just not. I'm going to blink on you at level 7 and do a quarter of your HP, and that's not effective. If I'm playing Susano, maybe I want blink. If I'm playing Robin, maybe I want blink. Later on, post level 12, I'll blink on you and kill your whole life.
You better get blink at level 12 for sure, especially with how successful, or popular rather, that Relic Dagger has become, Nikwid. Gonna be hard to strip away that totem against an Odin with the bird bomb damage.
So Odin is a god that we really don't see all that often, yet we've seen him twice today in our Monday Console League fun. We've gotten a chance to see Odin kind of do his thing previously in the jungle from Oh My Jacques, and it really wasn't all that great. And now we get to see Odin in the hands of Nikwid on the short side. I will say, historically, Nikwid has done a great job of piloting the Odin. I will ask you, is Odin outdated? Can Odin make an impact?
Absolutely can. You're forced into Phantom, no matter what. If you don't go Phantom at level 12, you're just asking for a bad time because of how short that cooldown is.
That's so huge. Fenrir jumping in here, grabbing the one without the beads. mattkoiz gets a stun off, and all of a sudden mattkoiz is out and JumpahSZN in. That's a kill for Nemesis. That looked easy for Ebog. What went wrong?
Reinforced shoes, just a little bit too much protection on the Geb support. Even though he was only level 5, he only needed that Cataclysm to make it happen. The crowd control reduction coming in really clutch to make those 1 second stuns into 0.8 seconds, and that's actually before the mitigation from all the follow-up CCs.
That's pretty relevant. I mean, that's the big deal. Obviously, the 21 procs coming into the clutch.
Yeah.
But that, like you said, SMITE is a game, 0.2 seconds matters.
Yeah, because like you're getting Fenrir stunned into the Fenrir ultimate. Now Isis is dropping the stun and the silence. So all these CCs are getting heavily mitigated one after the other. And shout outs to JumpahSZN's counter rotation there, being there just for the cleanup kill. And now with 2 deaths for Spartan, this is the kind of separation that you're dreaming about for a jungler, especially when you're the late game powerhouse Kali.
That's also the type of engagement you're dreaming of as a Kali. Like I said, you're not going to blink in. If you blink in at level 7, he's level 6 here. You blink in at level 7, you do all your Kali stuff, they walk away with 2/3 HP and they go, okay, what are you doing? Your dream at level 5, 6 of Kali is being able to go, oh, oop, and take a kill as you go, because you're just kind of like stacking this without doing much. And that's kind of a nice look. This is what I was asking as well. The cage is relevant. You're talking about Phantom. And that's actually something that people discount a lot. Being forced into Phantom. 1, Phantom has a specific role, but 2, you're now down a relic. You can't go the other options that you might normally bring here. I love Shell versus the Isis, for example. Things like that are just not as easy to pick up. Talking about the 1v1 matchup, though, we see Nikwid chase the Jormungandr out of lane. That bird bomb does a ton of damage in the early game. Is this something that Nikwid can lean on? Very rarely do we see anybody fight the worm, but can Nikwid do it?
I think so. Once he hits level 9, there's not really too much sustain for Cozy outside of the Warrior's Blessing, and it's hard for him to predict when the bird bomb jump is going to happen, for him to use his underground submerge and then find the knock-up to counteract that bird bomb jump. The timing just isn't quite there. So I think this is a matchup that Nikwid should win 9 times out of 10. Now, granted, the damage in return is also going to be really high from Cozy. So
high damage lane.
Yeah, it's all about finding your windows of opportunity. And so far, I think Nikwid should be doing that with his Runic Shield purchase.
Nice. Like this choice. Very odd is it to see a solo laner not go into a shield. Old Fury started, but cCoils knows all about it. So does Jing Wei. The patented... Ryan's not here to make fun of me. That's the brick through the window. We're just seeing if you got the alarm system up, man. Because if there's no wards, we'll take that, no problem.
Do they have the alarm system?
Absolutely. So you walk away, no problem. But if you don't, it's my gold fear, baby. And so Ebog tests the waters. There is somebody lurking. And Nemesis look for the response.
Yeah, but if you like test their alarm systems and then they see you testing the alarm systems, you can't ever go back there again.
Sure. Well,
Whereas in SMITE you can.
well, that's why you wear a mask and lifts in your shoes, because it's also about your height, not just your face. Actually, you should paint your face. One of the few ways to beat facial recognition software is by painting your face. Shoutouts to the juggalos.
Oh, that's right. I did read that article. Because they think it's, yeah.
Yep. ICP, never recognized.
See, he's just big brain.
3-on-2 in the jungle. Big brain, big ult. Nice shot there. Spartan gonna take it all. Then jumps on top of the mid lane mage, but has a shield thanks to the Geb. Odin Cage comes down, locks up 2. Nikwid does a good job of that, but the entirety of Ebog is here, and nobody's afraid of anyone. mattkoiz and cCoils are loose up top, but here comes the Kali.
And this is the cleanup that Jumpah is going to be dreaming about.
Stun.
Gonna beats away the stun, chase him down, needs to worry about Cozy coming on in, but he already got his target.
Ultimate chews him up. Jumpah still a little bit early right now. Just has the Crusher and the booties. Able to make the play on the extended team fight, however, and take down the middle laner. 3 kills in total. Unanswered by Ebog. Nemesis doing well.
What a save from Vultiee, though. That could have been even worse for Eboys. He managed to barely save out Spartan's life there, and that Odin Cage could have been more effective if Jumpah got there a little sooner, but he's been heavily prioritizing this farm. A good look, though, regardless. He's still without any single deaths, and with this kind of momentum swing, he has a 2-level lead, and he'll get the blink soon to start really carrying this game.
And that's all you want from your Kali. If I'm playing a game ranked or competitive, and my jungler is 0-0-0 for the first 12 minutes and they're playing Kali, dude, I'm fine.
Yeah, at least he's not feeding.
Yeah, just don't do anything. 2-0-1 as a Kali, level 10 at 10 minutes, 11 minutes. This is near the dream. I mean, this is, like I said, the engagement in the middle lane where he just, Jumpah showed up, hit one button, left with a kill. That's the dream situation. Down here on the right side, you get the kill after, and you get the assist after, you know, providing, that's a full all-on in from Jumpah, but his jungle was down, well-timed. And so that's really, like you said, it was his secondary location. His priority right now is cleaning up the jungle. And
defending his jungle as well. Cozy trying to be a little frisky after clearing out the wave, as most solo laners should do, honestly. There's so much to do from that solo lane side between the Totem of Coups before the 15-minute mark, as it will expire after that point, and then getting not only your own back camps, but the enemy's back camps. They respawn every minute, and then you got blue buff every 2.
Spartan blinking in, looking for mattkoiz, drops him, and there's the Sanctity Field, mattkoiz. Oof, we knew you well. Zen puts his team on the board. Nice setup there. Original Spartan and Vultiee combining to give the kill to the carry.
If I die like that as any support to that kind of a combo, I'm looking at maybe picking up beads at level 12 or straight up rushing Mad Guy's Cloak, or maybe even Spirit Syrup to at least mitigate some of that damage after the CC, because that was a Ragnarok and all ISIS shenanigans.
Aegis for Zen, not good enough. Jumpah will kill this one. Another job done for the jungler. Really what I'm looking at, if I don't, Aggro and I were talking about supports with beads, I believe, earlier last week. And I think that there are some characters that force you to get beads, and Fenrir is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Fenrir is absolutely one of them. In fact, Tully, you might remember back when Eager kind of beat the Khepri meta. Khepri was just beating everybody. Nobody knew how to do it. Eager just beat it with Fenrir.
Yeah.
They just kept, okay, I'll pick up Khepri. What do you do?
Yeah.
And Khepri's sitting there with a shell and a sprint, like, help, help! I'm in the dog mouth, and everybody's like, yeah, you're dead, dude. You gotta beads that, man. Oh.
Yeah. Because back then, everyone was going sprint and the shell. It was just kind of like the meta, and nobody wanted to stray away from the meta.
And that's why I hate the word meta, because meta, as Vultiee grabs Zaxy one more time. Oh, the Sanctified Field, this could be it. Beads and Aegis are good, and cCoils will show up to chase him away. Meta becomes just what we're used to.
Yes.
And there is a large trust me, there is a metagame. The metagame right now is really open. Shout out to Totally saying there is no meta, because I believe that. There's a lot of different choices, blah, 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 blah. But the metagame does exist. What the metagame is not is just what we've been doing. And I think that's where people kind of get mistaken. Anytime you do something and your rationale is that's the way it's always been, you're wrong.
It's only because, Spartan. Oh, couldn't get the movement speed to get away. Gonna wait this one out. Needs to find the jump for the kill.
Vultiee, fantastic play again. The support out of control. Original has gotten in trouble a lot. And Vultiee able to make it happen. Liquid with the blink, with the read!
Got him. Cover the option.
Woo!
Spartan gonna go down for his 3rd time this game. Struggling a little bit. Still 2 levels down behind Jumpah.
Nickwood might not be able to read Spartan's Twitter, but he can certainly read his pathing. Nice job there for the solo lane Odin. Boys provides a stun, long-range shot. Coils looking like Kobe combined with Jumpah. That's the alley-oop. Long-range shot.
It actually was better. I think that mattkoiz's knockup got disturbed the first time around, so he can get a better timing for the second one. Great synergy between your support and mid, now granting a very early 15-minute gold.
Now Nickwood, level 15 Odin, looking at everyone else level 10. This is where it's fun to play Odin.
Oh, yeah.
When you've got a dumb lead and you just go around going, hey, what if I jumped on your camps? That's all you do.
And we don't see Odin because, like, we keep talking about meta stuff right before.
Yep.
And the only reason why meta is even a term is because of something that works consistently. You want to obviously continue to make it consistent and win. So that's quote-unquote meta, right? That's why back then when we were talking about beads for supports versus sprint and the shell, well, team fights were the meta back then. So that's why you were going for the team fighting relics. Well, what if you didn't team fight? What if you just found those early game picks onto the Khepri that is looking for the team fight? Now, it doesn't matter if your opponent has those team fighting relics and you don't, because you should have the numbers advantage after killing the support that had no beats.
Metagame is the game outside of the game by literal definition. And really what you're talking about there is assuming a perfectly balanced game. There are different approaches to the game that might not be stronger than one another, but whatever's playing. I always use the kind of simplified conversation of card game stores before the internet, right? You're playing Pokemon, and the best player in your store is a fire player. So everybody builds water to beat them, right? But in your town, the best player is maybe a different type. So everybody builds something different to beat that person. Maybe fire or water isn't best, but the best player dictates what's going on. That's kind of what you see in SMITE as well. Now, there are going to be top picks, Isis, because the game just, she's the best choice. She's very, very good. But then you also have, well, what if Energy's the top team and they're just team fighting and they're just better than it at you? You've got to, is team fighting the best strategy? Maybe not, but Energy's better than you. So you got to beat Energy. And that's kind of what we see here is that the Odin, is he the #1 god of the game? No. In fact, if you ask Reddit, he's one of the worst characters in the game. But Eboys Gone Wild have drafted this composition with Isis of note, that all of these strong picks don't do well with a cage. So Nickwood comes through and metagames that choice and goes, all right, this is a bad god. We agree as a community that this is one of the worst characters in the game. But right now, metagame style, I am outplaying you with this choice, with this cage. I'm able to do so, and that's why this pick is working out for Nemesis. That's the beauty of the metagame. That's why it's fun to have so many options.
Can you imagine if Habwa did 100% extra damage to an Agni? You just kill him with your 3.
You kill him with the water carpet. Like, he goes so slow, he goes underground.
I'm melting.
But then you want to take that, so what are some of the weirder interactions? Water, fire is one thing, but what about like Bug does well against Psychic?
Oh my god.
So does a Musin Cob have a win condition versus like
Alpwash?
Baron Samedi?
Or Baron, yeah.
Alpwash is where I was going, believe it or not. Like, is that, does Stinger do 3,000 damage to Alpooch?
Yeah. Just basically one-shot him every time.
So then Fenrir always beats Bastet because dogs are better than cats, right?
Sure. I'll agree with you there. I do agree with you there.
Yes, dogs rule.
But what if you're Verizial and you just do both? You have dogs and cats.
Oh, man. Well, then it's just raining. 3 players surrounding the big earthworm. And Jim's gone. Big play. Look at that ultimate, dude.
Covers so much distance.
One of the more cinematic moves in the game for sure. I've told the story on broadcast before, but like the what got you into SMITE. I remember downloading it, playing one game, and miserable. But I played the second game. I was playing Hebo, and I got ulted by Naja. And I was just like, who has the Street Fighter super? I want to do that. And I haven't stopped playing since. A couple of ultimates traded as Eboys force a fight, but in the wrong spot. They're down 10,000, so Nemesis has the upper hand. Liquid grabbed by the doggo, and that's a nice play. NanoBruv lined up by Original. Spartan able to convert there, but Jumpah,
the target.
It's his party, baby. Full heal, and he's ready to go.
And I don't know how Nano can survive this one, being chased by 4 Nemesis members. Zaxy with the last hit. Only Zen left alive. Not going to get hit by the knock-up. Fury spawning in 5 seconds. Nemesis should confirm this objective. Such a clean team fight, honestly. Nikwid going in deep, getting the ultimate off, forcing a very defensive sanctified field, and Ebog just can't fight on their own terms.
Yep. I mean, that's your job as an Odin. We talk about characters that fall off, so to speak. Odin's one of these characters. Thanatos, people have spoken about, and I've spoken against that conversation for years and years. But the idea that, all right, Odin, like we said, when Odin was 15 and everybody was level 10, 11, yeah, he's going to go jump on your camps. He's going to ruin your day. It's going to be very fun to watch and play for Nick. But now you're at the point where your jump isn't doing it. And you're not, you know, Gungnir's mind is slowing a couple of people down, but largely you're a cage bot. And so right there, Nikwid's trade out, the 1 for 4, is totally worth.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you said, E-Boys, they don't get to fight on their own terms. Not only do they drop the Sanctified Field, but also the Isis ultimate. You want those ultimates when you are pushing an objective, when you're defending on a tower, not just because Nikwid got an itchy trigger finger and jumped onto 3 players. That's the worst case scenario for Ebog. And as long as Nikwid can continue, if he dies every time, I don't care. As long as he jumps in, takes the 2 knives out of your hands and goes, all right, now fight us unarmed. What are you going to do?
And the comp from Ebog with 4 magical, this runic shield gains so much value. 50 magical power reduced between 4 members. You've essentially stripped away 200 magical power if you're next to all 4 of those targets.
His whole job is to just jump in, get aggressive. Here comes the worm. Not good enough. cCoils takes down Spartan. The other 2 were locked out again, thanks to Nikwid on the Odin.
Ooh,
blinks past.
I saw that coming. I knew there was a blink happening, but the silence prevented the first one. He had to actually backpedal a little bit to avoid the stun during the silence, gets off the relic, but not able to really follow off of that. But it looked cool, though.
It looked cool. Nemesis here looking just as cool. Put your shades on, kids. Tier 2 gonna fall down easy. And Nemesis stomping up forward with everything in their backpack, man. mattkoiz takes a spear ball just for fun. The team walks away from the Phoenix, goes for the tower.
Disciplined.
Good choice.
Very disciplined out of Nemesis. They don't want to go for the Phoenix with Original Spartan. Reviving the Ragnarok due to come back up soon. Just go for the tier 2 tower, the very last one. Spend all this gold in hand you just gained from winning all these team fights.
It's mine, I spent it. That's going to be a Genji's guard.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I thought it'd be an Oni Hunter's guard because he's in the middle.
I thought so too, but honestly, you're getting more health and protections from Genji's guard. Now, granted, you do get 9% mitigation from the Onis, but there's also the cooldown reduction that you're getting from Genji's, the 40 MP5, whereas you're getting a little less out of Onis. So it might still be on Onis afterwards. I just think Genji's is better at this moment.
I respect that. I think both items are... I mean, in a vacuum, both items are great. And in this situation, like you said, the 4 magical, obviously it's going to work out.
And imagine bird bombing somebody right away with, what is this, 30% cooldown reduction?
Yep.
Getting the Genji's proc off, and then bird bombing less than 2 seconds after the fact. You are dealing almost 1,000, if not more, damage to one of these squishy backliners. And now you're putting more pressure onto Vultiee to make a calculated save with a Scarab's Blessing.
What I love about Nikwit here is that he did, I think, what this god needs to do. I particularly, if you've been catching the Pro League games, you should every Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m., I have been talking about the love of the hybrid warrior in the solo lane and how important it is to deal damage. And Odin, you can be very tricked into building a Void Shield and a Shifter Shield. I think his job is to be full tank in the late game, because like we said, just drop the cage, man.
Yeah.
Just drop the cage. That's all I want you to do.
Ooh, Jumpah in the 1v1 using that ultimate, but it's not a team fight that he's about to win. Needs to run away, gets hit by the jump and the brutalize.
I hate that play. I could not hate that play more. Spartan avoids the up down from Nikwit. Totally fine here. Spartan not even hitting Nikwit, just let me out.
He's gonna heal a little bit more. He's gonna jump. Oh, not enough damage this time around.
I hate that call from Jumpah. Totally. How many lifesteal items does Jumpah have?
Okay, 0.
That's my point. You have 10 HP, and you're going to take that fight? No, thank you. If you have an Aussie, if you have a Bloodforge, if you have some sort of sustain, take that fight. But you're not a one-shot character. Exit the battlefield.
I think he accidentally clipped Original in the Phoenix, so he was taking more damage than he anticipated. And because of the Mad Guy's Cloak from Spartan, he's actually going to win that 1v1, absorbing the initial stun.
Right.
If Jumpah had a Mad Guy's, then I think he would actually win it. To be able to counteract the stun versus stun mechanic.
Right, but he didn't. That's... And I'm not even sitting here saying that he should be building lifesteal. That's not my message.
Sure.
My message is that simply the fact that your one shot, you can take that, especially knowing how Aussie works. That's a fight if you have lifesteal, and if you don't, it's 100 to 1.
Yeah,
there's no world where you win that fight.
You have to play it mechanically very well, because with Mad Guy's Cloak, you can never cancel the Brutalize, but you can jump up and down to disjoint it at the very least.
Right.
But the problem was that Jumpah, by hitting Original, he gets Phoenix aggro. I think he jumps away from the Phoenix, and as a result, doesn't have the ability to clip away the Brutalize.
The jump would heal for what it's worth. The jump would heal
that too.
The Kali player. I just can't. For as clean of a game that Jumpah's had, I mean, I know this guy. You know, this is. We've been doing the console league since the console league has been doing it. We've seen Jumpah. I know this guy. I don't know. That's a brain asleep moment.
He dipped his toe in the water. It's still a little too cold.
No, you ever see? No, man. No.
He's about to go back in.
No.
And correct his errors.
No, he dipped his toe in the liquid
nitrogen,
and it froze off. I didn't know what element. I'll admit, I thought maybe it was like hydrogen or like, you know, what's another element?
Liquid nitrogen hurts, by the way.
What's another element? Like
carbon
or like
oxygen,
radium,
gold, silver, aluminium.
You know all about gold and silver, don't you, Tolly? Got him! Tolly's just sitting here like, dude, I've been Masters for 10 years.
I'm just saying, I'm like, I don't even have to speak about that.
Hey, you.
Aluminum.
That's actually gold.
Oh, that is gold, yeah.
Come on.
AL is, oh yeah.
27 minutes in, and Nemesis has been having just as much fun as Tolly and I. 20,000 gold up here, folks. They've controlled the game for the majority of this battle for sure. Spartan has been, oof. It's been rough watching the Fenrir in the jungle. Obviously, it's a team game, but a lot of what the Fenrir has tried to do has come up short. We've seen moments of it, right? Spartan would grab a player and set up Nano and InMyZen. But unfortunately for Spartan, and I think this is key to mention, is that Spartan's attempts have been cut short because of Nemesis's prowess. Spartan's doing the right thing half the time. Nemesis coming in on the left-hand side. Damage to the big guy. And Cozy's going to be out of there. Obviously has some charges to be aggressive and likely fall back with his third jump. And so Nemesis has to reset. Only ultimate used was the Cage and the Vulcan ultimate, and the Cage is going to be up by the time the next siege comes. Here's Isis on defense. That's the setup we were talking about from Spartan, but he grabs mattkoiz? He grabs mattkoiz? That's the support! You can't do that! Fenrir pops Frenzy from his team, and he'll blink away, no problem. Left side bird in trouble, and Nemesis going to be able to grab this one after the damage has been dealt.
Okay, just back up. Where's your Phantom now, Ebog? Trying to follow up afterwards, but they're still alive.
Well, for now, Zen falls down to the hand of Zach, and cCoils is able to grab Nano. Spartan the only one alive. The rest of Nemesis ready to go and play this one, Tolly. This is all the way Nemesis.
This is what we expect from Nemesis from how they performed in phase number 1. A very important victory so far in the game 1 of this best of 3 set, but they're going to have to repeat it because right now they need to get and claim their number 1 spot.
That's, like you said, the clean play is what we're looking at. That's what they were able to channel earlier in the year and what they hope to continue doing. So, Ebog just on the receiving end, man. That's not where you want to be. But Nemesis, certainly clean as hell. We'll be right back with game number 2.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the SMITE Console League.
There may be challengers now, but Nemesis reminding everyone why they were the top team in PS4 NA for so long, coming away with a really strong, methodical victory here in the very first game. To join me, breaking all that down, I still have Taco right here next to me. And Taco, for me, I think Nemesis did a couple of things really well. One was this Odin pick for Niquid, which they got right. The second one was cCoils on this Geb. I think those two picks really facilitated why they got away off to such a good start here.
It just made it so difficult to actually try and shut down this Kali in action. Jumpah just had so much free reign on that back line when he's got cCoils and Niquid to help protect him.
And setting up for him, too. The Cage was phenomenal here, this match. cCoils with all the peel that you could ask for. But it doesn't hurt that Jumpah got off to a great start as well, right? 1-0-1, I think, was how this Kali starts the game. You never want to see a late-game hyper carry like Kali start the game off with a kill. And, I mean, I like the idea trying to come in from a Rignal and start and slow things down, but already Kali now on the board with that assist pairs it up with another kill momentarily.
And it didn't even really feel like there were any sort of awful mistakes from Ebog. I think it mostly just broke down to the fact that the few mistakes that did take place were very heavily punished by Nemesis, and it just made it way too impossible, I think, for Spartan to have any sort of chance at really being able to utilize this Fenrir in that same aggressive manner that we're so familiar with seeing.
And I know that we were talking about how good these carries were. They got Isis and Olorun, but two things that both of them can struggle with at time is getting really sticky assassins off of them. I know they both want you nearby, right, for the Dispel Magic, for the Spirit Ball, for the Sanctified Field, but when those things are getting forced out by Niquid, when you're not able to fight on your own terms, that's when a Kali can feel really difficult for those gods to deal with.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think we saw very few instances where the Circle of Protections and Sanctified Field would be used simultaneously with each other. Oftentimes, we saw them coming, I think, just too far spread apart throughout those little team fights, and it's largely because of the fact that they just had this Kali being such a heavy disruption factor in that backline.
Exactly. That's what Nickwood does for you with this Odin cage, right? We haven't talked about cCoils yet on the Vulcan or Zachsy's performance here in this game either.
They had the show stolen from them.
A little bit right by Jumpah. But I mean, I said it towards the halfway point in that draft that even though I thought that Ebog had the better draft, Nemesis still had a good draft, and that we trust that team to execute maybe a little bit better, even though Ebog had been looking really good this phase. Nemesis reminding you why I think I still consider them the kings here in PS4 and A.
Well, Ebog looking to flip the script a little bit here. They're going to actually choose to ban away the Jean Kui first and foremost, so that will leave Nemesis with stripping away the Almuz Cobb, Kronos to follow suit, and I'm inclined to believe that this could be Ebog potentially looking for an early Thor pick. Keep in mind, they banned it away from Jumpah, but now, after losing on that Isis because of that Odin first pick, I think that Ebog are just looking to try and take the direction elsewhere for the start.
That's right. The Fenrir was a bit of a question mark, you know, into the Geb. You were worried about that being cleansed a lot, but maybe still having some value. Looks like that didn't perhaps take off for them, so maybe they can try and prioritize a different jungler. It's on Nemesis now to decide if they're okay with that Thor making through. They've already banned the Morrigan AMC, and keeping their heads on a swivel, they're going to ban that Thor that Ebog tried to sneak through.
Could still be an Erlong or a set pickup here for Ebog, and Erlong still maybe somewhat shut down by the Odin, but not nearly to the same extent as what we see from the Isis. Instead, it's going to be a priority pick here for what I would imagine to be Zen trying to take this Olorun back to the dual lane one more time.
I'm thinking so too. It's just a bit surprising to me. I don't know that the Olorun particularly impressed in that game. Now the good thing is Olorun's just really good. He didn't have to impress in that game, right? You can just take Olorun as a value pick, but just a bit surprising based on how we last saw it perform. Geb comes through for cCoils yet again. That I'm entirely on board with. But two things I thought were the biggest impact, the Geb and the Odin. Prioritize those at the beginning of the draft. I love them.
And that was exactly the same first two picks that we saw from Nemesis in game number one. In fact, just in a slightly different order. It was the Odin first and then the Geb. But the fact still stands. This Khepri pickup one more time in that response position now from Ebog. So Ebog maybe feeling the Khepri paired alongside of some different hyper carries could fare a little bit better. I do like the destructiveness that a Habwa provides in a team composition. That amount of burst damage can definitely be problematic for a Geb who's trying to make it through that early to mid game portion.
I like the Habwa pick. They clearly are okay running the two magical carries. They did the Isis Olorun already, so that could potentially be what's happening. I also would not hate Habwa jungle in this spot. That way you could still potentially run a Hunter mid lane for some pressure, but Hell coming through for Nemesis, that kind of makes me want a Hunter mid all the more, so you can have someone to box early on, and then you have the synergy with cCoils and with Jumpah to maybe take them down that mid lane position.
But that would force Ebog into that Habwa jungle position, like you were just mentioning, Finch, and with that in mind, I mean, would it really be that surprising for Nemesis to possibly look for the Fenrir, maybe just try and double down on having that extra little bit of pressure to kind of harass this Habwa to really prevent him from being as effective in that jungle position?
And remember, Nemesis already have the Odin, oftentimes a pretty good response, especially on console to Hell. This time, though, that won't be available to him. It's already been picked up by Nemesis, so good forward thinking by the guys to not only grab a pick that's good for them, but that is good against their own comp.
I am glad to see this Kali ban, though, in the third, fourth picks ban. Don't let Jumpah get a chance to bring that one back, especially not when he's got two strong components that were a huge part of that Kali success in game one. And not only that, but you're adding in a Hell to the mix now, so that's a relatively scary sight when you see Nemesis being able to pilot such a team fighting efficient character like the Hell. And I didn't really give this much thought, but the cleanse on that Hell could be critical here for helping to avoid a lot of that sanctified field damage. Keep in mind, everybody won't be as slow if you get cleansed out of it to move out of that field.
You're exactly right. CC immunity works just like it would with any other CC when you're inside the sanctified field. So that cleanse is going to be huge. Even for things like the Khepri Abduct, to get you out of that a little bit sooner can also be a pretty big deal. Plus the Medusa for Zachsy, just something that he likes to play a lot. So definitely going to be strong for him. Chulainn, though, a bit surprising. We don't see him much anymore at all.
I think it's the Barbed Spear that Ebog is looking to prioritize here because they want a little bit of that anti-heal option already provided in the kit. Not very many easy ways for them to apply it. Otherwise, Olorun would probably be the best bet with the Divine Room, but you typically don't want items like the Divine on gods like the Habwa. You just want to invest solely towards that Glass Cannon burst damage. But my main issue with this Ebog draft right now, Finch, it just feels very scattered, and like the damage, while there is good components for burst, is relatively shut down by a lot of the effectiveness out of those Geb cleanses and the Hell.
Yeah, to talk about auto battlers, it feels like a bunch of good units, but maybe no synergies or anything like that with how popular those are lately. But I do like this Ao Kuang sneaky sis there from Jumpah in the last moment. An execute into the Khepri could be strong. What do you think, Tom?
What do I think? You know, Tolly.
Let's hear it.
I think. I wish I had a platform stand. I don't really have one.
Taco stand.
Ah, the literal take. I like it. That's a nice one. We have an apple box. It's not really an apple box. It's a bunch of stuff to stand on. That.
Isn't it like the things that little playgrounds use so that the kids don't get hurt if they ever fall?
Yes. Hebo in the carry role is something that I really enjoy watching. I think Hebo's a character he's fun. All he does is a ton of damage. And I usually lament characters like that. I'm not a fan of them. But I think with the knock-up and the Yellow River, it's like just enough utility that you can make it happen. But really, I just like to see Hebo get ahead and do the damage.
And this is kind of crazy to see how the Hebo versus Hell matchup that was like very popular in 2013 solo lane days has now moved in 6 years to the opposite side of the lane.
It's Omega versus Wolfie, right?
Yeah. Or Omega versus me. I would play Hell a lot as well.
Yeah, that's true.
He played Habo all the time, Omega.
Omega was
He loved it.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny how the mind works. If you told me to mention Omega Gods, I probably wouldn't mention Hebo. But seeing Hebo versus Hell,
Yeah.
Omega comes right to mind. Like it's wakes you up a little bit, makes you think different things. It's fun stuff. But here in the carry role, kind of similar to the short lane of yesteryear. Largely farming by yourself, largely left alone. That said, not a great example as we see the supports now moving over there. Is there a reason? Because last game, the carriers were left to their own devices.
It's about bursting down the Hell. Hell is going to be not building tanky in the long lane.
Right.
So you're getting more value from the hop-wop burst damage. Even before you get like 3 or 4 items, there's still a lot of kill potential. Even through the Hell sustain. Like, as long as you can kill Hell after the first heal. If you don't kill Hell after the first heal, you're probably never going to kill Hell, because then she's going to run away, heal herself up 2-3 times afterwards, come back into a team fight, and be super obnoxious. But a Habwa, if he can get off his full combo, chances are the Hell will die even through 1 heal.
On the other side, the Hell has the opportunity to kind of take that fight, and we'll talk about it in a moment. Blue buff going to be grassed on here by Eboys. Nice up-down for the Odin player. Good enough. And Nickwood able to confirm it. No problem.
Yeah. Gets it through the Eat Minion from Original. Not an easy task to do up against the Bakasura, but gotta feel good if you're on the Odin solo lane side of things. Still having the MP5 necessary to contest with a god that doesn't need mana to fight you.
Talking about that Hell Hebo matchup again. Hell's got some kill potential as well.
Sure.
People always think about Hell as being the healer of choice, and obviously healing is certainly a large part of what she brings. But specifically with the change to her one some years ago, now what you can do is you can shoot your Dark Stands 1 and your 3, and then also switch to Light Form and fire another magic missile.
That's right.
That's just more damage than other gods have.
And you need that MP5 from Light Stance to be able to spam those abilities, because you're not having blue buff being on the long side of the lane.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing both Mage's Blessing from both of these gods, the Habwa versus Hell matchup. And whichever team can control more Totem of Coups will help this matchup as well. Not just the gold value, but dipping into the tower to receive that MP5. And so far, both of them, the Totem of Coups, going to Ebog. More value for Nano.
Absolutely something you want to make use of. Dip in there. It stays on for 9 seconds, so you're not going to be able to have it up the entire time in the lane, but you can certainly sit on your tower, walk up with your wave, fight with it for a little bit, get that MP5 specifically out of combat. So certainly a nice look there for both of our players to worry about. As you said, Nano, the only one benefiting from it at the moment. Looks like Nickwood might be able to change that real quick, as he will own this next Totem of Coup. So Hell gets some help.
It's a good little balance between these two solo laners and also the long laners. Gladiator shield completed from both of them, of course. A little bit of action, though, up against Zen.
Big ultimate out of the Medusa, lines up though, and there's the Sanctified Field. Nobody wants to fight in that. And so Nemesis walks away. Here's the blink from Spartan. This could be a great play for the jungler. Ultimate comes out, surrounded, and cCoils goes down. Nice shot, first blood for Eboys Gone Wild.
Ooh, now the rotation from Zaxy, though, but can't find anything onto Vultiee, even saving on the Scarab's Blessing, but now the Jumpah's around here with the execute. Could be a little bit of trouble as Nano was around the corner, could have easily knocked somebody in a bad spot.
So Ebog being a great play there. Really identified kind of the cost that it would take to kind of wrap around and do the thing. So now with Spartan coming in, able to kind of grab that first kill. That's a great look for the Bakasura. A character kind of very different from the Kali of last game that we saw Jumpah on. Original Spartan is looking to just get off to a lead and keep running and never stop running. So a kill like that, a first blood. It's a nice look.
And that was all up with the aggression from Nemesis. They wanted to go onto Zen originally. They couldn't disengage in the proper fashion. cCoils going to the left, whereas mattkoiz going to the right. You can't be separating yourself from your own support player that far away, as he was too fearful of the Bakasura, I guess, in the mid lane. But the Baka's not really going to be doing anything by himself. It was more about the 2v1 that cCoils was a part of.
Exactly. Yeah, cCoils had started this kind of nonsense right there around that where the ward is, for lack of a better descriptor. And then once Medusa kind of backed off, Nemesis were like, all right, we're not in this any longer, and that's why Spartan kind of got the surprise gank. Nemesis were an all-out retreat. Kind of easy for them to say, harder for them to do. One zip.
Hard to really contest these mid camps now with Zen being level 7 and this red buff cCoils. Without red buff sitting at level 6. Medusa having a lot of teamfight potential though along these corridors with that Petrify. Gap shield, gonna negate the root. And that's the important factor, is how both of these teams control the mid camps.
A lost god. Medusa doesn't see as much play as I really anticipated her seeing, specifically in this metagame where we see the hunters move into the mid lane. I love because a lot of times what you can do with Medusa is use these walls to start casting your ult and then pop out. Because if you just hard cast a Medusa ult, I turn around. It's no problem. But if I'm, like, say here in this corridor, and I start channeling my ultimate and then pop out right here, you don't know that it's coming. I'm able to get it. Like you said, these small corridors are so good for Medusa. And she is a strong character. I really think her numbers line. Totally, what's that last number say?
100% of your physical power.
On top of 700 base. Like, that's a mage ability. That's absurd.
That's pretty good.
It hits the whole team fight. Here's another ability that hits the back line as well, which is something that people really don't value as much as they should. The ability to go past and hit that back spray, hit that back line with the acid spray. Medusa's a character that I wish we could see a little bit more of.
And just like that, the acid spray stealing away those camps and poking a little bit onto Ebog. This is a god that is very good, Tom. I agree with you, but there are certain hunters that can do it better. That's why we're seeing a lot of Moose and Cops in the mid. We're seeing some Oolers here and there for the poke potential. Medusa's more of a goddess that will benefit when you are left untouched. You're not the one forcing the fights. The fights have to kind of develop, and you're there not to clean up, but you're like the secondary wave to come in.
Here we just might see that. Odin jumps in, sets the cage up. cCoils waiting for players to look at her. Pop, pop! There's the ultimate. Took a little bit longer because of the Sanctity Field. Good enough to get things rolling. No kills.
Zaxy doing a little bit of poke damage. I'm surprised cCoils held on to that ultimate for a little bit, honestly. I'm not sure if it was on cooldown or what, but once Nikwit got those two targets onto the cage, they were literally clumped up right there. Even if you're not getting the stun, the fact that you're guaranteed going to get the damage off even before the Sanctified Field is a big deal to assess how much damage you're going to do to either all agree on one direction or the other? Are you going to continue this engage after the Petrify, or was it not enough damage and it's time to retreat after?
I think what happened there was she wanted to look for the stun, waited for a second, and then by the time she casted the ultimate, you were in the Sanctity field, and it's going to take it out.
Yeah.
An hour anyway.
He had to even beast because he got knocked up during the Sanctified field, so that was not the best positioning, I'd say, from cCoils. And if he used his ultimate, he would have been CC immune.
Spartan tries to go for the turnaround and will get Jumpah. Rough after the fact, though. I don't love this engagement. cCoils is able to put down Spartan. Nano, though, answers back, uses the beads, and finds a kill after it. Zaxy falls down. No work there. So a 2-for-1. A seemingly poor exchange, but Ebog really take advantage of it. Great job by Original for making a bad situation into a good one and allowing his team to capitalize. Those are the plays that you've got to make. You see how he's down right here, totally? Those are the plays that you have to make if you are down, specifically with a hyper carry like this. Bakasura is not going to drop a Fear No Evil.
Sure.
So how can he force a fight in his own direction while being down? Just like that. Set himself up. I'm a pinata. The team takes advantage.
So I want to talk about Zaxy's death in that last engagement. The way he died there, he has beads as a relic, and very often, or sorry, not very often do I ever really critically judge people's choices in SMITE, because there's always a second reason behind it. As to, okay, he did this because of X, Y reason, not because of Z. But by going beads against also, hold that thought though, because Original in a little bit of trouble. Good root from Vultiee on the backside. Look at Nano.
Yeah, just lined up waiting for it. The ultimate coming off cooldown in about. Yeah, there it is. Oh man, that's when you're just sitting there going, you couldn't wait 5 seconds.
No,
you couldn't wait 5 seconds.
They're going to aggress even further, trying to look for poke damage and utilize the health sustain to counteract any sort of poke. But to talk about Zaxy's relic, against a Habwa and a Bakasura, you have to go Aegis at level 1.
Okay. I do agree. Gold Fury leashed out. Nemesis getting jumped on, and it's Spartan that's putting up kill number 4, but Jumpah answers back, and that's the first kill for the Kuang. We'll see if it continues in that direction. Jumpah did not use the execute, still available. There's trouble, as the Chulainn could be the target. You can see Jumpah was looking towards it, but now changed his mind. That ultimately will lead to a safe and sound carry. Red buff being investigated by Nemesis.
Beats are down now, so that's a prime execute target if they wanted, especially with Scarab's Blessing being used. It was used actually earlier onto Cozy just to get a more movement speed to disengage. Nico doing a good job zoning away the only steal potential that Ebog really has.
Cozy, it's Cozy.
This is a long shot.
I guess he was too cozy.
It's definitely a potential steal with a cCoils, but nowhere near the percentages that a Habwa provides.
Not at all.
It like goes from 50% to about 2 or 3%.
Now, right before that team fight, you had started to talk about relics. You
Yes.
mentioned that you've got to start with the Aegis, and I think I agree. I think Zen does kind of make me change my mind a little bit, using the beads to get into that Sanctity field, but Aegis kind of does the same job. So I'm largely there. I think you kind of need the Aegis. Was there a secondary point there? Or
No, it was
jumped right
basically
into
you want to survive the only thing you're beating against your lane opponent is the knockup.
Yeah.
And also I guess the slow, but then again you have a cleanse as a hell also, so you could time your cleanse to get away from the Sanctified field, to get away from the Atlas of the Yellow River. So when you're dealing with a Bakasura that is slowing you, you want to immune his damage. You don't want to get away from his slow.
Exactly.
Where you're still taking damage anyway.
And the idea that, well, why would I buy Aegis if I can't use it while knocked up is what people normally say to me. But I respond to that with, so you're going to beads
in
before,
midair,
like
before the knockup.
Because that's
you
what it is. It's, oh, the dodge! Zaxy's still going to get his face eaten off.
What if he had Aegis there? You think he would have made it to Jumpah in time to get some assistance?
I 1,000,000% believe so.
I think he could have.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that, like, the Hebo knockup is like, it's like Injustice 1 Aquaman, if anybody can follow me to that world. It's like a one-frame startup. You have to read it. You can't react beads to it. You have to read it. And sometimes you can. When a Hebo's kind of looking for it, you get that feeling, and then you can bees it. Yeah, that's going on your highlight reel. That's not something you nail every time. I'd much rather start the Aegis where you can kind of, like you said, I'm going to eat the knockup and the water hands if I'm too close, but then I should get better in spacing.
Yeah. Now it's going to be Vultiee needing to get away from this kind of spacing, but the execute a little bit too early. Still will find the kill regardless. Cataclysm, though, was forced to clean it up.
Cozy shows up, knocks all 3 players, and that's a big deal, but Spartan gets eaten. Jump, doing the eat. Nice play there for the jungler. 2-1-2 like the city. Nemesis running away now, right up the short side. And Cozy ready to go. No ultimate available and only half HP, but I still think this cCoils could have chased out if Nano kind of had the river and everybody wanted to go. So I like this call.
Looking for a little bit more, though, in a 3-on-5. I'm surprised to see how you're still aggressive as Ebog on the right side of the map after losing 2 players. And that's because they saw Zaxy all the way on the left side of the map. And good value, I guess, getting a tier 1 tower after losing 2 players. Could have been cleaner from Nemesis. JumpahSZN ultimate a little bit too early.
Yep.
Bought time. Even though they were still guaranteed to kill Vultiee, they had to use the Cataclysm to guarantee kill him because they were afraid that he was going to abduct away into safety. That could have been used on cCozy once he engaged in.
16 minutes on the clock. That's it?
Time flies.
Feels like a later game.
It does. With only 9 kills, like normally this would be like on the middle of the pack. Not too fast, but not too slow either.
Yeah. It's so like, you know, fast and moderately aggravated, not fast and furious. Right?
Sure. Fast and passive aggressive.
There you go. That's sort of like the bottom end of it, right? Where it's like, you know, 15 minutes, 2 kills. Fast and like mildly agitated.
Fast and I just want to go home from this long car ride.
So it's nice that we're going fast, but we've been on I-95 the entire time.
Pretty much.
Fast and really angry. Why did they just call the series that?
Fast and really angry?
Yeah. Not slow and really angry. In theaters now.
Maybe they save money for using less words on marketing.
That is wild. What? Where? That's totally. That's you remembering having to pay for word count on your text messages. 100%. You got 142 characters. Turning back the clock there.
Better not go over it.
Nemesis right now looking to pick up the Primal Fury as we return to action. Team's really just wasting time till this Fury spawned, I think. And now Ebog have control over the area. Even though they are trailing by about 1,000, it's not something I'm calling mom about. This is totally fightable scenario. Spartan looking for the right side of the map, and you can see Hebo picking up that farm. Very important that Hebo able to continue that. 2 levels already over the Hell. And that's how you're going to beat this Hell, is by maintaining a lead, knocking her up, and then hitting her with everything before she hits the ground.
This is an all-in idea that Nano is going to be going into with a blink, right? Like, he wants to go in for the perfect crushing wave, but this could be a hit or miss. He's either going to literally win Ebog the team fight right off the bat, or he's going to completely lose it for them in this next engagement.
That's the thing with Hebo. I mean, you say he's hit or miss. Well, you better hope he never misses.
No execute required. Jumpah taking advantage of the poke that his team did earlier.
Feels bad. That's a rough one for Spartan. Great
That's
ultimate
the petrify
into a great
you want.
ultimate. Yeah, that's the one you dream of when you lock in the Medusa. Sanctified Field coming out, and Zen will escape. But oh my, Coiz into cCoils. Nano's gonna eat it. And that's the dream. Stun into the stun. cCoils is screaming from the middle lane. And the Fury will be the target one more time.
Cataclysm into Petrify. Good opportunity now for Nemesis to get this Primal Fury. Their second Fury of the game. Nothing Ebog can do about that without any ultimates. And it all started with Spartan being too far forward in the mid lane, looking for farm, gets poked out, jumps in the right mid camps, not expecting anyone to be there. And Jumpah says, hey, what's going on?
Hey. Able to handle that one. An earlier game character than the Kali from last game, so able to get involved. Liquid, on the other hand, jumping away, dropping the cage, no problemo. Now, thought about it. Still want to stab him?
He's going to get chased down.
Oh,
but
the blink!
This
Oh,
is
no!
going to be a bait.
Is it?
It's a
There's
bait.
the shield. Here comes Jumpah. Still Liquid alive and finds a way out. Wrapping around the right side is going to be mattkoiz. Jumpah, half HP already. Ultimate from Geb will line 2 players up. Here comes Zaxy all the way from the west coast and all the way to the north. Jumpah takes down Vultiee, and he's on the chase.
Nowhere to go. Oh, wait, nobody's going back because they were chasing out the cCoils instead, and this speed buff Bakasura should be able to use all that movement speed, especially with that Toxic Blade and the Hasten Katana, to get away. And it was a bait.
Cozy.
It's so hard to kill an Odin, man.
He really is.
Yep, level 17.
This is, you know, it's funny. I thought game number 1 was a good job of Nemesis going, all right, you've picked a weird character that, like, does it. Game number 2, I think Liquid just wants to go, hey guys, want to see me win with the worst god in the game?
I don't think that's the case.
I think I think you don't realize how tiny Liquid's brain is.
I think he's got a galaxy brain here because he's making it work.
You know what? That's exactly what's going on here.
Hey, if Wolves can do it, why not Liquid?
That's true.
I don't see the problem.
Liquid actually is very funny, going all the way back to the yesteryear in console world. Everybody's slowly having to back off this right side. mattkoiz gets pulled and pushed into a bad spot. Here comes Hebo. Right back to the fountain.
That crushing wave only connected onto mattkoiz. Vultiee going to get off the Scarab's blessing onto Zen. Jumpah doesn't have the range for the execute, but with all these picks, they should be able to get the right side Phoenix.
Still not down just yet. Somebody's got to actually focus on the Phoenix, and finally down it goes.
And without coils, there's no real kill potential on the Titan anyway. Even in a 4-on-3, too many towers standing too. That Titan is going to be rather resilient.
Yeah, too much to handle at the moment for Nemesis. 9,000 gold up, give or take. So they do have a lead, and a large one at that. Not large enough to just walk on in, though.
Also, I'm surprised Nano didn't blink engage with his ultimate. He just straight up used his ulti from inside his own Phoenix. You would much rather blink past their backline, and when you crushing wave 180, or 180 crushing wave, then you'll at least be in the safety of your own Phoenix after hitting 2 or 3 members.
A much different look there for NanoBruv as he just tries to go for the throat. Not a great look there. All the top player damage belonging to Nemesis here. Spartan will, however, push on the left side, get sniffed out by mattkoiz, and that should altogether be a fix.
Yeah, you're not killing this level 15 Gib with 5 items. I guess technically 4.5. Blessing. Half an item.
For sure.
You want to see more, obviously, from Spartan, but his scoreline is saying that like he's been there for the kills, but he's also had way too many deaths. I think that he's been in positions that he's been getting punished for. The first game on the Fenrir, that first blood in the solo lane, a little bit too anxious and antsy. Second game on the Bakasura, you would rather prioritize farming. Like I would rather see him be 0-0 at 23 minutes than 4-4 at this point.
I feel I can understand that. At the same time, I can, you know, I definitely am critical up here in the commentator seat, and there are times, just rewind this VOD, where I've sat there and gone, what are you doing? I understand what Spartan's doing. He is looking for perhaps too many engagements, perhaps too many shots, but that's what he's looking for. He's looking to be active, and I think there is a commendation there for sure. But I think if Eboys Gone Wild wants to improve, if Spartan needs to improve, I think number one is absolutely understanding. And again, dude, I feel like a broken record. I keep shouting out roll Q, but it really is, that stuff really is the best. Listen to the top junglers tell you. They're like, man, every other time I want to gank, I just got to farm instead.
It's so hard to also guarantee get finding kills, right? Because who are you going to kill from Nemesis? Nikwit on the Odin, good luck.
Yep.
You got to go deep in the heart of the jungle to find Jumpah. cCoils is going to be sitting next to mattkoiz. You could lean on Zaxy this game, I guess, on the Hell, because you're up against a Habwa. That damage early on, especially when you see that the Hell didn't start Aegis at level 1. That could have been the original start from this Bakasura, just to lean on that long lane a little bit harder.
Yeah, you know, I think I'm there. I think I would have shown up and just kind of crushed Zaxy a little bit. Whether or not that changes things is a different story. But probably the most vulnerable out of anybody. We are 25 minutes in this one, folks, and there's 18 kills. 2/3 of them belong to Nemesis. 12-5 is their gold lead. A slew of experience as well. Jumpah v Spartan. It's an evenly matched 20 versus 20. Jumpah gonna get jumped on, but Spartan, eat minions good. Is he gonna be able to escape?
Oh, I love it. I love it. The very tail end of that Cataclysm connect. And now Cozy having to run away.
This is the moment where you go, oh no, guys, I got picked. Don't worry, that's not the end of the game. And then you see your teammate get picked and you go, uh-oh.
It just very well might be the end of the game.
Nice knock-up. Knock-up into the crowd control. The Phantom will help the Khepri for just a moment. That ultimate did not do nearly enough. Magnified Field will put a pause on this one very briefly. And Nemesis trickling into the right side. The right side Phoenix goes down. 22 seconds on everybody else. It's the Titan to the mid lane. It will be the Titan. Red team pushing in. There are members here.
Oh.
So they make the choice in the mid lane. I think that's the smarter option.
More calculated. Cozy coming up in 12 seconds. Spartan in 7. Going to go for the last remaining Phoenix with that whole wave right there of an Oni minions. Those archers putting in a lot of overtime.
Easy choice to go for the left side Phoenix as well. All 3 birds are down, and now Nemesis looking to fly. Vultiee gonna be jumped on in first. That's a cage! Beautiful play there by Nikwit. 2 for his teammates, and he sets up the world. He's low on HP, but he's high in superlatives. Spartan does pick up 1. As long as they limit it to Jumpah, Nemesis should be all right. They won't. cCoils goes down. Zen looking good there. Nikwit's already out.
Minions are actually going to end the game. Petrify stunning out Zen as well. It's up to Nikwit to get the aggro, and that's gonna be it.
Zaxy provides a little bit of help. cCoils another kill. And just like that, Nemesis are able to take this one 15,000 gold above the opposition.
27 kills in 27 minutes. A good 2-0 from Nemesis. This is what we were expecting from Nemesis in the beginning of Phase 2. This could be the momentum that they need now.
Got to agree there. I mean, look at all the numbers here. 9 kills in total for Jumpah, 6 for cCoils. I'm looking at the middle lane specifically here. 1-0-15. Nikwit on the Odin, 2 games in a row. And you know what, Toli? Honestly, Nikwit's Odin had such an impact in both of these games.
And when you're forcing out the Phantom, the first one from Vultiee, there's no secondary Phantom follow-up. And between catching the Khepri, the Olorun, the Habwa, these are the 3 goddesses that you're primarily focusing on with such a short cooldown cage.
Back and forth, back and forth. Nemesis take 2 games. We've got 1 match to go. We'll be right back.